Yo, call me a sequel the way I just nutted twice. Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the Games Kids. Today, and only today, we are here to talk about some breaking news, and that is, yes, Sonic Frontiers 2 is officially in development. And of course, before we get into the insanity and crazy news of today, make sure to hit a like button on your video, subscribe to your boy here, and let us get to 100,000, please. I love you guys. So let's get right into it. Today, I was being tagged all over the place being told, hey, Fidel, this dude called Daniel RPK is reporting that Sonic Frontiers 2 was in development. Now, I started being like, who the fuck is this? I even looked up their Twitter. They seem to be some kind of movie games analyst. They provide leaks for a bunch of stuff. They're not necessarily really in our field, but they've gotten some stuff right and some stuff wrong. And so when I was being tagged in this, I was like, okay, he could just be talking out of his ass. I don't really know. But of course, the one and only Midori has come through with some different answers. So right here, someone was like, Fidel, I pulled up there like, yo, be a good boy and call Midori for me to confirm if this is true or not. And Midori pulled up saying, yes, this is correct information. So big moment right here. Midori, listen, for those of you that don't know, the other context here is that Midori is the #1 right now. They are a mega Sonic leaker. They have gotten everything right. They know everything about Sega. And there's a lot of theories going on about Midori that, you know, they're friends with someone at Sega, that they are deadass a plant made from Sega. I don't know. Now, we do know that they're actually going to be streaming next year. She's actually been very nice, very kind. So only show her some love. But yeah, anything she says basically about Sega is gospel. And so I tried to do a little bit more digging. You know, I asked like, hey, is there any additional info you could provide for us? Is there a code name? Is it an official Frontiers 2? Like, what's going on? And the only big info we got here is the title is a sequel to Frontiers in gameplay style, but the name might change. Frontiers was Rangers until it was announced. Also, she said Fidel is very funny, so I'd like to be his friend, which, you know, I also think is true. Now, obviously, this isn't necessarily the craziest news, because, yeah, they're making a sequel to a very popular Sonic game, but it is nice to know that it is fully in development right now, and that it is going to be committed to being an official full sequel to the game, instead of being, you know, another gameplay style or potentially a remake or something. It seems to be like they are fully moving forward with the next title in the series. Now, obviously, this isn't crazy news either if you know how successful the game's been. I think the game is on 4 million copies sold. We actually know from other, you know, Sega internal events that Sonic team has grown, that they're giving the team more money, more budget. We know Kishimoto, the director of the series, was on a mega Twitter spree when the game came out, figuring out what people would like to see, knowing about how people's preferences for Sonic character models, animations, etc. He knows everything, and I think they're taking a lot of feedback into account. And so I decided to make a post asking you guys, hey, what are your thoughts about this? What do you want from a Frontier sequel? You know, I think instead of me just giving you my thoughts, I'm gonna read your thoughts and I'll give my, you know, extra thoughts based on that. But before we get into that, I just want to say, like, I am so excited and I'm so happy, because even just knowing that it's actually like fully in development, that just gets me excited. I mean, at this point, Sonic Frontiers is going to be 2 years old this year, which means we are not that far off from the next mainline game. I mean, I'm expecting an announcement of the game bare minimum by next year, and then it coming out the year after that, because at that point it will have been 4 years since the game, and I think 4 years is more than enough to develop a 3D platformer. Don't ask me why Mario Odyssey sequel is taking 7 years. That's a different question. So we got our boy Ian first here saying more Sonic-y environments, polishing with combat and how the game looks, expand you being able to talk to the gang with additional NPCs and open zones, whisper and tangle. So yeah, that's a common sentiment, obviously, and I've seen this a lot. You're gonna see this a lot through a lot of these comments, that people are saying more Sonic-esque environments. I think that's the big one that they have to do, because Sonic Frontiers, while I love it, and I think the more, you know, the more basic environment style of it works for the characters being lost, I think we do want to see an open zone, how that would look like in an environment like a Stardust Speedway, you know, in a map that looks like Studiopolis, right? Or even something that looks like Seaside Hill. Like, I feel like open zone with an area that fits the Sonic aesthetic would be so much more incredible to witness and go around, as opposed to, you know, the more basic environments. Because as much as I love Sonic Frontiers' atmosphere, yeah, I mean, a lot of the areas feel very normal, which again is kind of the point in that game, but I do want to see more Sonic-y environments. Let's see what my boy Pete has to say here. Actual good polished physics, complete overhauled combat, real juggles and hit stun based combos, more Sonic-y exaggerated open world design while keeping realistic direction, or other playable characters in the main story, more lighthearted moments of top serious ones. So yeah, I mean, obviously physics is a big one, right? There are a lot of weird physics jank moments with Frontiers. The spin dash is completely broken in the game. You can't really play with the environments in the way the game intends. I feel like half the fun of the game is kind of breaking it and doing crazy shit. So I kind of agree. Make the physics of the game work a bit better. Overalling the combat is also a big deal. I think combat needs to stay regardless. I think Sonic having a moveset is so fucking cool, but I do want fights to feel a little more intense and a little more worth it, right? The little XP bits you get from combat and Frontiers doesn't necessarily feel rewarding. So I want to go into a fight knowing, damn, I'm gonna get XP for this and it's gonna matter. I'm gonna be getting really cool moves that are gonna actually help me fight other enemies. Dude, Arjik saying, feels too soon for this, but more challenges in the open world before DLC, more traversal options while exploring, e.g. is more spring ramps loops. Keep the physics customization, speed of control, let us choose. Environment blends in more with the world and doesn't pop in. So yeah, obviously, out of all these statements, I would say the pop-in is the number one, right? The pop-in would be the one that I don't want to run around the next game and have the environment be loading in front of me. I want to just be able to see the world fully and know, hey, I can go all the way there and I can see something so interesting back there that it makes you want to run all the way there. My boy Sonico says, give me some more cool freeform platforming like the Coco Challenge, the new cyberspace with some cool looking areas, and you got me. I agree with this. The number one is the Coco challenges. While some of them can be brutal, I think are some of the most fun platforming challenges in the game. They're the ones that demand the most out of you, and if they can naturally include them in the next game to fit just the gameplay style and world, I think it could be awesome. We are so getting somewhere because you could 100% tell the difference between the base game platforming challenges and the ones in the DLC. They were really cooking, and I want them to continue that. All right, what does my boy Keo got? More Sonic-like environments, more lighter tone story, more characters playable, preferably characters like Silver. Bring back rival fights. So let's talk about here these two. So lighter tone story, I kind of agree with you, right? And when I agree with you, I'm saying I think Frontiers, while it's a story that was necessary to establish, hey, these are things that happened to us, we're lost, things are a bit more down, I do want something that's a little more exciting, you know, more shown in a sense of something that's a challenge, but it's something the characters are confident in facing, instead of feeling something the gang is fully doomed out of. But I 100% get what they're saying. They're talking, give me something like a Dragon Ball episode, you know, where the gang is going into a scenario confident and cocky, but there is conflict throughout. More characters playable, preferably Silver. So this is honestly like a big question mark, because I feel like we just got Knuckles, Amy, and Tails to the point where they're not even perfected yet. I mean, we got them and they're fun, but I think they should continue with those dudes and focus on them and make them better before we get to more characters like, you know, Silvers and Blaze. I feel like at most maybe we get Shadow playable. I feel like that could work, but I don't know if we should get to Silver or anything yet. Brandon says the big one for me and a lot of others, I'm sure, is a lot more polished, especially with how much bigger Sonic is getting. He now more than ever needs a polished experience. Also, Shadow being the next game would be base. I feel like Shadow being in the next game feels like a lock to me. I feel like with whatever they're doing with Sonic Shadow Generations, feels like they're setting up the character for more. And yeah, polish is the big one. I think this next Sonic game needs to be on the level of Sonic Unleashed in terms of polish. Make me feel like I'm playing a true AAA Sonic game in terms of like the look, the quality of the animations, movement, everything. So Red over here says, get rid of the stupid 2D locking sections in the open zones, integrate the cyberspace-like stages into the open zone areas by theming them to fit seamlessly to the environment. So, damn, these are two really big ones. One, I agree with you on the 2D Sonic stuff. I think that just needs to go completely. In fact, they were leaning towards that. If you play the Sonic Frontiers DLC, none of those cyberspaces levels are 2D at all, and none of the challenges in that Frontiers challenge were 2D challenges. I think the team understands, okay, well, listen, man, we are making a 3D Sonic game. Let's make these people do 3D challenges. It's okay to throw in some 2D once in a while. You know, even Mario Odyssey does it sometimes when Mario's running inside a painting. It's fine. It can happen every so often, but I think in an open world, it's locking the camera suddenly to a 2D perspective is something that is jarring for a lot of people. And obviously the big one here being, yeah, integrate the cyberspace like stages into the open zones. That would be such a crazy idea. I mean, I would love if they were able to figure out, one, either to just not even have cyberspace and just have the environment be fun, or do something, you know, use the PS5's power to do something cool and seamless. I don't don't know. Imagine you went to an area in the open zone that was like an open ring and you saw the world and you jumped in and suddenly you're in a cyberspace like area and then you jumped out. Like something like that I think would be incredible. Sort of like how Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart does it. Oh, let's see what Electric has to say. I think they should expand the concept. I think the open zone could work really well like Adventure did in the lobby areas. An entire city with Sonic level design would be really cool. I mean, the good level design, or an entire new landscape. I agree, dude. A city-like environment would be fire. I would love something like going back to how Adventure had a city, a hub area, kind of like that. And I feel like making that kind of playgroundy with Sonic would be really cool. And again, you don't have to make it like an actual city. You could make it, you know, a Sonic-like city. Maybe like an Eggman Land type environment, or something even like a Casinopolis. Something like that with an open zone would be such an incredible design with open zone. Zanatsuku said, I'd like if they incorporate some of the older zones in like Lava Reef and Mushroom Hill. Please, for the love of God, no more desert open world mountain zones. It's seen Mr. Grunes make a cameo. Also, some multiplayer would be cool, even if it's just racing. That's a good idea. I mean, look, I fuck with the idea of bringing back open older areas. In fact, I think it would be so sick to see them go back to other areas in what we vision them as open zones. You know, it would be so cool to see, maybe obviously not a green hill, but again, I was talking about it before, like a chemical plant as a fully explorable area would be awesome. Something like a lava reef and open zone would be incredible. Bringing back something like Kingdom Valley from 06, but it's an open zone area would be so cool. I feel like there's a lot of potential here for something like that. And multiplayer is a big one too. I think Sonic games with an open world multiplayer aspect could be really cool. You know, even if it was just 2 players where you could run around that world with your friends, do some platforming challenges. But I feel like with Sonic, it's so much more difficult just because the nature of the game is you're going fast. And I don't think there'd be much ways to do stuff together. I don't know. Maybe you could prove me wrong. I don't care about power scaling probably because it always seemed dumb to me. I want Hypersonic. Bring him back and my life is yours, Sega. Yeah, I mean, we obviously got teased with the idea of more powerful Supersonic with Supersonic 2 and Cybersonic. And obviously we've gotten different Cyber or Sonic forms over the years. But man, Sega bringing back Hypersonic and someone would work so well. I mean, Russo actually showed it in a mod showcase, but please, that would be so cool, Sega. Oh, Owen right here with the big brain one, IDW characters and Restoration HQ as a hub world. So for those of you that don't know, IDW characters, you know, they're the ones from the comics. And the Restoration HQ is the place that was created after the events of Sonic Forces where, you know, the gang sort of works together. I mean, I fuck with heavy the idea of characters like Surge or Tangle Whisper being in the main game. I mean, they've been mentioned in Sonic Frontiers, so dropping them in-game actually would be kind of peak. And the thing is, they don't even need to be playable. I would just love if they were just in the environment. I mean, like I said, take me to an area where Sonic characters are around. And so while characters don't have to be playable, it would be so nice if you could go do a side quest with Blaze. You know, you could go do hangouts with Surge or all these other characters that exist in this world that they're not using. All right, Citrus over here says one big open map with lots of side objectives / quests. For example, you headed to the next story mission, but a spot town under Eggman attack and could choose save them. Sort of Ghost of Tsushima. I agree with this, man. Like, I think Frontiers had a good idea with having side activities, but I would love actual side quests, right? Where I'm talking to a character, we do something together. You know, we save a town together, we fight some enemies together. Like, just reward me with stories by doing things in the environment. In fact, Sonic 06 actually experimented with this with the humans, you know, that were doing quests with you. So bring an element like that and have that shit polished. I would love to do side quests in a Sonic game. I guess out of these, I'd like to talk about more post-game and a plot that isn't saving Sonic friends. So I agree with that point. I think another game that's like, oh, my friends are in trouble, let me save them, I agree would be kind of lame. I would love if, you know, it was something grander, like the gang actually has to work together to solve a bigger threat to humanity. To me, that sounds much more interesting. And also, I agree, more post-game content, and you beat Frontiers, and that game is done. There's nothing to do. So let me beat the game, and then, hey, suddenly a bunch of challenges arrive on the island. Hey, now you can, you know, S rank plus stages where try going for harder S ranks around levels. You know, harder enemies have appeared on the island. Like something to just incentivize you to play after the credits roll. And the big one, obviously, a lot of people are talking about, as long as Kellen Quinn comes back for the vocal songs, nothing else matters. It will be peak. Yeah, it's a big question, right? Obviously, with Kellen Quinn's songs being incredibly popular for Frontiers, the question is, do they want to do that again? Will it hit as well? or do we get another artist and we go for more shock factor? It's been a difficult one. I've thought about this because on one hand I'm like, damn, nothing can replace hearing something like Undefeatable for the first time. And is that because the genre and song was shocking, or is it because, you know, the song itself was a banger? And I feel like that's a big question mark to whether we get more Kellen Quinn or if we get just a crazy track. I fuck with the idea of having more Kellen Quinn. Fuck you, make it crazy. All right, a unique, appealing art style similar to Bomb Rush, more momentum, physics-based, more polished. Yeah, so let's talk about an appealing art style similar to Bomb Rush. Yeah, I think an art style for a Sonic game could work incredibly well. We've seen even mods for Bomb Rush that have Sonic. You know, we have games like Hi-Fi Rush. We've had games like Wind Waker. You know what I mean? When people talk about an art style, they talk about a game that sticks out a bit more in Sonic. I think Sonic should 100% lean into that. I mean, it's a series that is literally oozing with style that I think an art direction forward actually hits so different. So for this, I want to actually talk about removal of boost in favor of momentum-based movement. I kind of agree with this, but I don't know. I don't know if you can remove the boost. Maybe you just make boost not as reliant. In fact, I would take a page from Sonic Unleashed on the Wii, where you had specifically 5 boost things to use until you filled up some rings, and maybe, you know, you could get a free boost to help you get through a momentum-based platforming challenge. But I don't know if you can remove the boost entirely. I feel like it's something that's satisfying that people like to use nowadays. You know, I don't know if you could fully remove it, but at the same time, yeah, basing something fully on momentum and physics and everything would be kind of fire. So I think there's a good middle ground they can balance there. Yes, and Slash right here says more time on cutscenes, animations, and visuals. Yeah, I agree with that. You know, you get to a lot of the cutscenes in Sonic Frontiers and it's kind of like a character standing with their arms crossed. I want more vibrant cutscenes with the characters. Obviously, a big one a lot of people are talking about in their replies are a new character model, more expressive character models. I agree, man. Like with Frontiers, they were almost there. Like they were giving them expressions and unique things, but I want it to be a little more movie based. You know what I mean? I want them to be like moving around a lot more during their cutscenes. I want them to be a little more expressive, a little more crazy. Like give these characters more oomph, just because they're such fun characters, and them being a little more rigid is not in tune with them. So I want more animations and everything with you. I agree with you. Let's use Minares here and keep the Titan boss fight hype, introduce rival battles. So that's a big one, right? I think people want to see more Supersonic because that was by far the rawest and most beloved part of the game, but also rival battles coming back would be so hype. Imagine a rival battle where you actually have a challenge against another character and you have to use Sonic's moveset to, you know, critically think in a fight. That would be so fucking cool. And have, you know, the big set piece moments like against the Titans. Or something like that would be so cool. And maybe each world, you know, you have a rival fight and then it ends with a big Titan fight. Like there's so much potential for something crazy there. Black Dragon says, not gonna lie, I loved almost everything in Sonic Frontiers. All they have to do is up the spectacle, make Sonic elements actually integrated into the world and add more combat stuff, and I'm satisfied. Yeah, I agree with you, man. I adored Sonic Frontiers, and I think they're so close to just doing a little bit more Sonic-y stuff and integrating into the world. Yeah, I'm with you. Oh, this is a cool one. Would love to see tag team boss fights. I mean, yeah, dude, if they can integrate the gang more together for boss fights, for duo fights, that would be raw as fuck. I mean, there's nothing cooler than when you and a partner lock the fuck into a boss fight in the game, and it would be so cool. Look, I mean, I think we are still early on in the world of talking about, you know, the sequel of Frontiers, but like I said, it's nice to know it exists, and just, man, getting even the idea of thinking about the next game already excites you, which is kind of crazy because we still haven't even gotten Shadow Generations yet in terms of that new content. I really do think Shadow Generations is going to give us a taste of really what's going on at Sonic Team, because it does look like it's cinematic and that there's already more budget going on there. So I think that's going to give us a nice tease at the future, and I really do think Shadow is going to be more involved with the plot and the world and story. And just, it excites me, man, because Frontiers was such a success and we are in such a different place with Sonic, and it's nice to know that this next game is, hey, we are continuing this formula. And I know Sonic Team is Sonic Team and they've found ways to fuck up before, but I feel like with how much they understand now, how much they're more in tune they are. In fact, the DLC, like, to me, the DLC was proof that, oh, okay, you guys know how to listen and actually take feedback and actually do something that's hella cool, and you understand how anime Sonic is, because that final battle against the end is the most anime part of the game, and I think they know that. I think they're gonna start leaning into that more, and the next game is going to be really crazy, I think. I think we're going to be very shocked at just how different the sequel to Sonic Frontiers is in comparison to the base experience. I think it's still going to be similar in vein. You know, it's still going to be open zone. We're still going to have free roaming environment stuff, but I do think it's going to be more Sonic-esque, and it's going to be really fucking insane. But of course, let me know what are your thoughts. What do you want to see most from Sonic Frontiers' sequel? Are you excited? When do you think this is happening? I love you guys, and of course, I will see you all next time. Peace out.